Looking forward today. I really am. We've got Adel Jones with us, Director of Transformation at Torbay, whatever that means, at Torbay and South Devon NHS Trust. We're going to find out. We work closely with Adel as a team. We're absolutely delighted with what we're doing with her. So for me, I think it's really exciting that we can sit down, have a conversation with her and explore what she's seen, what she's found out over the last 12 months and what she believes trusts like hers could be doing to deal with this backlog. So looking forward to
it. Brilliant. So with no further ado, Adel, welcome to the Think Big Act Now. As Richard teed up quite nicely, what does your role entail in terms of digital transformation?
Yeah, so thank you, and absolute pleasure to be with you both here today. So my role, so I'm Director of Transformation and Partnerships, and really, the role encompasses lots of aspects. But I hold the portfolio for digital, so I hold the portfolio for all our health informatics service. But digital as a transformation enabler is critical. So I'm responsible for all of our improvement plans, our plans around working in partnership with other hospitals in terms of the new ICS provider collaborations and place-based collaborations. So as part of our role as an integrated care organisation, we are all about connecting with partners and supporting our people in our local communities to stay healthy and well. So my role is to make sure that we transform our services so that we deliver just that ambition.
And now you're underplaying it as well. You're also chair.
Am I?
Because this can go on forever, but it's quite relevant. You're chair of the NHS Providers Digital Network as well.
I'm co-chair, so I've just been asked to be the co-chair of the new digital network that NHS providers have just set up, and that's incredibly exciting for me because the intention there is to get a wider set of board members, so board executives and non-executives, really engaged in the opportunity of digital transformation. So rather than CIOs talking to each other, this is about mainstreaming and really harnessing the opportunity of digital. We've done it in every other walk of our lives, haven't we? So actually, why not do it in the way that we deliver our care? So that's the ambition. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, and in there, I guess coming out of that, you get a sense from you of, or I do, of the potential, the aspiration here. Like it's enormous, isn't it? Is that your feeling that there is so much more we can do?
Yeah, I think, if I reflect on how I live my life, I have a computerized electric car. I wear a watch that tells me what to do, when to stand up, when to breathe, when to walk around, and so much more. I never go to a bank. I rarely go in a shop. Actually, I can live a full life because my life is enabled by digital technologies. And then I come to work, and actually, the NHS has been around for 75 years, and actually it's stayed the same. Largely the model is the same, isn't it? And we've disrupted it a bit, and we've improved it a lot. We improve surgical pathways, but the fundamental process, what we do, hasn't changed. And I think we've got a huge opportunity to disrupt the way that we deliver healthcare for the benefit of our local people. And if we look at, the challenges that we've got right now, our demographics, demography is destiny, isn't it? So actually, our demographics are really clear. We have more older people than younger people. We've had a reducing birth rate for decades. This isn't going to get any better. So actually, unless we disrupt the way we deliver healthcare, we're not going to be able to sustainably deliver it. So I'm passionate about high quality care, and with the digital age, this is our big opportunity, and it's great to see a range of products that make this opportunity real. I think it's been very conceptual. Digital has meant electronic patient records, hasn't it, previously? And it's so much more than that. And I think that's what really excites me, that actually it's possible now to disrupt the way we deliver healthcare for the good of our staff and our patients.
Because in some of the sectors you just talked about, banking, shopping, travel, they have actually disrupted what's going on. They haven't just taken what was going on before and digitized it. They've actually said, no, there's a better way, there's a different way completely of delivering this service.
And our patients, so you'll remember, Richard, because I think you were there, weren't you? So when we do a lot of work as an integrated care organisation, we have close relationships with our community, and person-centred, personalised care is at the heart of what we do. And so we ran some events, didn't we, with people with long-term conditions and multiple long-term conditions. And we ran that event with local people, their carers, consultants and primary care. They told us that they don't want the model of healthcare to be the same as it was. They told us they wanted to control their own care. They wanted to have their own records on their phone. They told us that they wanted to be able to do their own diagnostics at home. They told us they wanted to work together as community to keep themselves healthy and well, and to have specialist advice when they wanted it, not when we told them they needed to come in, and or when they needed it. And so actually our customer base, you know, if we were a proper business, I'm not sure we'd have many customers. Our customer base is telling us that they want something different from us, and that's really important.
That's an excellent point there in terms of reframing, I guess, the whole notion of what a patient is. I think COVID has taught us all that we're all expert health consumers, and the consumerization of technology and going into health, and you see inferior technology, inferior workflows, longer queues, the expectation of the consumer has been increased. So again, meet them on their own terms. I just want to ask you very quickly, how do you go about galvanizing the workforce in around the transformation? You know, COVID is a compelling event to change, to disrupt, but inherently the workforce and the systems are still very much archaic, old and antiquated.
So I think we have one of the, Douglas, you won't know this, we've got one of the oldest buildings in the country. I think we're the third oldest hospital building in the country, and I think our PAS is probably about the same age. So we've got a bit of a burning platform here. So do I have any problem in talking to our clinicians about the need for digital transformation? They just bite my hand off every time I mention the word digital transformation. My problem is making it real. So I think, and we've got a route through that through some of the investments in the new hospital programme, hopefully. So I think galvanising the workforce is really important. I think for many clinicians, they see the value of technology. As with all human beings, change is uncomfortable, isn't it? It's really difficult. And it's the change management process that I think is going to be really important. But conceptually, do people really believe in the power of digital? I think they do, and certainly they believe in that when the digital around them doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. So over the last 12 months, has there been any compelling transformational piece of work that you want to share that has brought about real change?
Yeah. So I think there's been some really simple stuff, hasn't there, around the way we use Microsoft Teams now. You know, in terms of our ability to connect with people in a very different way. This is really simple, isn't it? And you know, and I'm connecting with people in our voluntary sector and our local community groups and our local authorities in a very, very different way. And this is allowing our clinicians to really connect with each other on a more regular basis. And that overnight has just transformed what we do. And we need to hold on to the fact that we've allowed something through COVID to just entirely disrupt the way that we work. We don't drive to work as often anymore, do we? So, you know, in terms of that green agenda, I think it's really important that we see that as an innovation. In terms of clinical practice, I've been able to work with Richard around the Connect Plus app, and I think that offers us a huge opportunity to enable people who have a long-term condition or multiple long-term conditions to to really manage their own care in their own homes and be that expert, to have all the information and the advice and the videos and everything at their fingertips so that they can manage their own condition. And I think that that's going to be game changing for us. The bit that I'm really impressed with now is, because we've done a lot of work with you, Richard, haven't we, in terms of the videos, etc. We've started to mainstream that into our transformation program, so that we're actually starting to say we will need to deliver some really tangible benefits. So we don't have an app as an adjunct to the way that we do things now. We have an app so that it disrupts the pathway, so that actually we change our pathways. And you know, we've got a consultant rheumatologist who's been front and centre, hasn't she, in terms of leading that change. And we're starting to do that with many other of our long-term conditions. So I think we're getting greater traction in terms of some of the work that we're doing around digital, and that gives us great excitement. People haven't got a lot of headspace for transformation, so when we're doing it, we need to keep it simple, and we need to make the change and the transition as easy as possible. But certainly the will is there. Excellent.
And also in terms of the simplicity, I like it, and make things tangible. You know, taking people on the journey. We got this platform, Think Big, Act Now, and we tend to find that sometimes when we think big, we shrink because there's a lack of confidence and we're not too sure what the destination will look like. Have you discovered that when you transformed the service, that you discovered new capabilities, new ways of working, new pathways that were not fathomed in the beginning?
Oh, that's a massive question. We are really thinking, aren't we?
I'm sorry about him. He does that.
That wasn't in the script. No, I'm joking. Okay. So I think we often scare people with the word transformation, and this is about thinking big, but it, you know, very little change in our environment starts from a place of you are, you know, I'm entirely transformed from one day to the next. So very little of what we do is true transformation. And I think part of the thinking big is allowing people to see the vision, and allowing, as you described, Douglas, that those kind of changes, those unexpected opportunities to emerge, and it to be safe to go and take them, to take those opportunities, to fail and to learn, and to be brave and to try it again. And I think the trick around transformation is to not overcomplicate it, but actually to create a culture of that psychological safety, whereby people can genuinely, continuously improve. And then we'll find ourselves in 3-4 years' time, as long as the vision is right, so as long as the direction of travel is right, we're just allowing people, aren't we, to evolve their way into that. And I think it's far more of a helpful approach than kind of running big transformation programs. So I think that, and I think people feel more comfortable with that as a concept.
Yeah.
It's a much more agile way of operating. It's a much more fluid, fleet of foot way of operating, isn't it? But having the strategic intent clear, but recognizing that on the way, we've got a lot of learning to do. We've got stuff that will fail, stuff that will succeed, and trying to, but keep people on that journey and know it's a safe journey we're on.
Yeah. And, you know, we're lucky. We are, you know, so we were the first integrated care organisation in the country. We're small and very perfectly formed. And actually, I always we underestimate just how we've attracted innovators.
Yeah.
And we genuinely have attracted some significant innovators. So if I think about one of our colleagues, so Nick Perez, who works part-time for Health Education England, he's done a huge amount of work around immersive technology and artificial intelligence and how that supports the development of education and learning platforms. You know, so we've got some absolute pockets of great innovators. And sometimes, as long as the direction of travel is clear, allowing those people to just flourish and develop their ideas for the good our services, I think, is probably sometimes doing not a lot, but letting people get on with it is the right thing to do.
Now that's wonderful, because when you talked about the psychological safety, I really love that line. You know, being brave as well is a common theme that we're having across this Think Big Act now. I just want to ask you very, very quickly. You talked about these pockets that you have where there's great innovation. Did you actually go out seeking these innovative people?
So I think. So I've only been here for the last 2 years, so I can't take any credit for any of this at all. However, I think it's evolved, as with all great organisations, it's evolved. So we've had a culture of being innovative for decades. We've got nationally, we've got kind of national leading day surgery practice, and in terms of our models of health and social care integration, they're beyond what you would normally see. I think innovative people are attracted to organisations that are seen to innovate, aren't they? So I just happen to have arrived in a place where it's full of great people with great ideas. And I guess the trick for me, and I'm still learning, so I don't always get this right, but the trick for me is to not get in their way, but to set a clear enough vision with the board around what we're trying to achieve, and help those innovators have the right conditions, so they can feel safe, they do feel supported, they can take risks and make mistakes and celebrate their success, and for the organisation to work with them rather than against them. And I think at times as leaders, that's not always easy to do. So try not to control it too much is probably my big lesson over the last year.
Yeah, it is a big lesson, that one. It's for all of us, isn't it? Because we want to, we think we can intervene. So I'm conscious of running out of time, but if you were talking to other trusts, what would be your one or two takeaways, Adel, that you would say, look, come on, if we're going to hit this backlog, if we're going to really make an impact, bear these two in mind. And that might be process, it might be people focused, it might be, I don't know, but what would be the big couple of takeaways for you?
So firstly, I would say, was it Henry Ford said, we don't need faster horses, we need cars. We need to disrupt what we're doing. We can't just keep doing what we're doing more efficiently. And if I look at what often we're advised to do, it's about doing what we do now well, better, faster, cheaper. Actually, we've got to stop looking at the horse and start looking at the car, haven't we? And that, I think, is the big ticket for me. We are not sustainable as we are. So how do we disrupt this using digital as a platform? How do we support our communities to accept and embrace that digital platform? If the banks can do it, if the shops can do it, I'm sure we can do it. We're universally loved, aren't we, in this country, and rightly so. So actually, if we have the right relationship with our customers, we give them what they need in order to feel well and safe at home. I think that would be my take-home message: is let's be brave and harness the potential of the technologies that are out there, but let's commit to disrupting the pathway, but do it with our local people so that they feel safe and come with us.
Thank you.
I'll be on the journey with you.
Great, you're welcome.
I've got to comment on one thing before you leave us, which we've got a break in a minute. I love the use of your word customer throughout this call. Right at the beginning of this conversation, you used it, and you've reused it repeatedly. And it's funny, by using it, it reframes what you're looking at markedly, doesn't it? But you're still unusual in using a word like that in health.
I'm probably going to be unpopular as well. Won't be the first time.
There we go. From my side, thank you so much, Adel. That was really good. Really good. It was
pleasure.
Fascinating.
Absolute pleasure.
Douglas.
What can I say? That was an excellent close and truly inspirational as well. as a clinician, somebody that feels passionate about empowering patients, the fact that you flip the script first on patients as customers, reframe the whole dynamic, create an environment that is conducive for innovation to flourish, where people are psychologically feel safe. You know, so much great innovation can only take place when people are not scared to fail. You know, doing away with that is a massive lifting of a blocker, really. So I was just listening, I was in awe. I pinched a lot of words that you were saying. That's what I was typing away. So plagiarism is going to be evident. So no, thank you very much, Adel. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, lots of lessons there.
Adel, thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck with everything you're doing. And from our side, thank you once again.
Thank you. Huge thank you, Torbay. Thank you.
Thanks, Adel. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We've got some questions coming in, but just before we go there, I know I touched on the point about customer at the back end there. What your use of the word is almost provocative, I think. If I know you, I'm sure it's provocative. Why do you think it's important? Why?
So I think if we are serious about people taking control of their own health and well-being, prevention, look at the white paper, look at what it's telling us, and the white paper is absolutely underpins our model of care as an integrated care organisation. So if we're serious about that, and I think we absolutely need to be, that requires us to have a different relationship with our customers. You know, instead of people being patients and us as healthcare professionals or organisations telling people what they need and what they should do and how they should live their lives. Actually, this is a different deal. It's about a partnership, and it's about a true patient leadership, person leadership. So I think the more that we drop the word patient, we start talking about people, and we start to empower those people by saying, actually, you are our customers. We are here to serve you when you need us, not when we tell you you might need us. And I think it's important that we challenge ourselves around that different relationship. We are the people that need to change.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we have lots of questions, and one of them is from a Rob Lambert. So thank you, Rob, for fielding this question. I think it leads in quite nicely. What would you say is the largest roadblock to real transformation in healthcare right now?
I think so. Right now, I think. So I think there's something around the context that we find ourselves in. I think there's something around fatigue, general overwhelming busyness, and the impact of COVID has been significant. So headspace, I think, is huge. I think then secondly, getting the right resource in place to truly innovate, I think for us certainly is a big roadblock, and that's something that we are constantly kind of trying to find a way through to get the right level of investment. And then lastly, I think digital in particular, you know, it's IT programs are renowned for failing, aren't they? Like huge, big proportion of failure. And that's because often they're implemented as IT programs rather than transformation programs. And I think it's incumbent on us, and particularly transformation leaders, to work with clinicians to really support that notion of digital as an enabler to transformation, and being really clear about how that works, I think is critical, because often the technology is there, we just choose not to use it, or we choose not to take the benefit of using it. So I think it's about, again, that disruption of the pathway, that it takes a bit of time, and it takes a set of discipline and commitment to the level of change. That I think we sometimes rush things in, put things in, tick the box, say, yeah, we put that system in, and walk away, rather than really making sure that we have changed our pathways. And certainly as an organisation, and you know, the work that we're doing with Richard's team, the bit that we've gone back around the loop in is are we truly changing our pathways to maximise the opportunity of this digital technology? And the digital bit is the easy bit, isn't it? It's what we do with it that's the challenge.
And the bit we missed that disappeared, and like I said, I'm sorry to everyone for that, was you reflecting on the technology in use by banks and in retail. And I think it's the same point here, though. There's nothing new in the technology in that sense. It's about how we deploy it, how we use it, the degree of reach and adoption we get, isn't it? And they've managed it somehow, haven't they, thus far? And we're still behind them on the curve.
Yeah. If we look at what we use in terms of technology, and we look at where we are in our standard lives, Alexa switches on the television, doesn't she? My watch tells me when to stand up and tells me what my heart rate is. Actually, even tells me when I need to breathe. It's remarkable. My car will tell me all sorts of things. Usually, that I'm a really bad driver. But that's about embracing technology, isn't it? If you look at what we are archaic in our use of technology. And that's a great opportunity for us, because actually it's already the technology that will enable us to transform now. We don't have to invent. It's largely there. We just need to adopt and adapt it.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that. We've got another question from Kamal Bilal. I think this one is, and I know you're going to nail this answer. It's relation to clinicians. Do you think we should be able to access all patients' health care records across the UK? Yeah, with ease using such things as the NHS number.
Yeah, that seems to be the basics, doesn't it? And as long as the people that we're caring for give us permission, and that we're respecting their rights to access to their data, absolutely. And that's helped by shared care records, and it will be helped by more of us implementing kind of some of the newer electronic patient record systems that are out there. Absolutely, the integrated care system that is the kind of the national ambition can only be delivered through us really having access to the right data and the right information.
Yeah. And do you think that shifts over time to patient ownership of that? If we're going to empower patients, do they have to have a greater ownership of their own performance in a health sense, if I can put it like that? Maybe that's a hard word.
Yeah. Well, I've always found it fascinating, because so when you're pregnant, I had my kids 20 years ago, and actually I held my own patient record. Yeah. It wasn't a secret. I didn't have to apply to look at it. I didn't have to have someone's permission to have a look at my record. I held it. No one else had it. Same with children. When you've got 0 to 5, you hold your little red book, don't you, or whatever it is now. I am showing my age, aren't I? But you have that. And actually that's your record. I see no reason why we shouldn't. Why people should not have be owning their own record and their own data, and that's really important. It's really important that people understand the information about them, that's about their condition, and because that information is intelligence, which will help people to manage their conditions much better.
Yeah. I've noticed Matt's just reflected on what you were talking about, the iterative nature of innovation in health. So we've got this challenge, haven't we, about we've got to make big leaps, but actually we've got to allow it to iterate at the same time. Yeah. And that's for leaders like you, the leaders watching in, that's quite a balancing act, isn't it, Adel?
Yeah, but I never assume I know what the right answer is. So I think it's okay, isn't it? If you are describing a vision that is flexible enough to give a broad direction, but actually the devil's always in the detail. what Matt has just put in the chat in terms of, well, he would have known that we would be able to signpost to our healthy lifestyles teams and really kind of get that level of support for people. That's something that you don't create in a strategy necessarily. It's something that clever people who work with the local population kind of will come up, but it's consistent in transformation terms. So I think it is just about allowing, as with all the best digital companies, allowing great ideas to flourish and then to adopt them in our pathways.
Yeah.
Excellent. And I must say, Adel, again, it's been very refreshing speaking to you as somebody that follows transformation, to have conversations with you and you talking through some of the great work that you've done. It gives me reassurances to say that transformational leaders are not just process driven. If you look at before COVID, there was a lot of innovation, a lot of transformational work that was taking place, but the outcomes were completely different. Where we are now. Have you noticed that shift? Is there anything that you can look to the future with confidence to say we need more of this style of transformation opposed to the transformation of old?
Yeah, I think it's about getting a balance of both, isn't it? But I think what COVID did is, and actually what's coming out of the ICS white paper is it's all about partnerships, isn't it? So it's all about partnerships and people. And if you get people together, and if you allow communities to really drive the way that they want to receive their care, and you create a different set of relationships, actually transformation takes place in a very different way. I'm very much about, change is all about people. We choose whether, I choose what I do every day, and I'll choose whether I treat someone as a patient, or if I treat somebody as a kind of independent human being who can take control over their care. And in a clinician's mind, you'll make an active choice as to what you do. And so it's got to be about winning those hearts and minds. And you do that through great conversations and good partnerships. And COVID forced us almost to work more collaboratively across organisations and with our communities and with our local economies. And actually, I think that's just given us a very different perspective of how you can make change happen for the greater good.
Interesting. I'm conscious we have to go in a minute. We've got 1 minute left. But the point, and your title is Director of Transformation and Partnerships.
Yes.
And I think I've always seen it as formulaic in a way in terms of the partnership with the local authority. But actually what you've alluded to throughout this the whole discussion is actually it's a partnership on a people by people, a person by person basis. The actual construct of the organisations is almost by the by. If you're going to make it happen, it's people in the round right across your community that you're working with, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Healthcare is a tiny proportion, accessing healthcare, particularly acute healthcare, tiny proportion of where people spend their lives. The determinants of health are about, prevention, good eating, having a job, having good education. We're an anchor institution, we've got to get involved in that. And actually that is really transformative. If we want to really transform the health of our nation, that's where we as organisations need to be partnering our communities.
Brilliant. And that, I think, Douglas, is a great place to close, don't you?
What can you say?
We clapped her on the way in, we'll clap her on the way out. Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Look at this. We even get party balloons. Thank you, Catherine. Brilliant stuff. Thank you, everybody that's watched today. We're back on tomorrow at 2:00. And I think, are we Jenny Chong tomorrow? Is that where we're going? Somebody's going to tell me in a minute. I've mostly got it all wrong. I think for today, though, my message is please come back and join us tomorrow at 2. Catherine's put up details of how you can get the video on demand, so you can go and watch it again, share it with your colleagues. Join us tomorrow. Take advantage of this great series, and we look forward to seeing you then. Oh, it's Stephen Hakin tomorrow. Hey, we're going European tomorrow. That's great. Oh, brilliant. Look at that. Wonderful stuff. Finally, Adel, thank you so much. Brilliant.
Thanks ever so much. Great to be with you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That
Wow.
was the conversation with Adel.
That was wonderful, wasn't it? Wasn't that great?
Indeed. So I was really, really engaged throughout the conversation. The fact that she was able to simplify very complicated things that affect not just technology, but people in a way that you could understand it and do something with was very inspiring for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It was her willingness to, she uses the word disrupt, not only in terms of recognizing that's what's needed, but I think in terms of her frame of reference was different to other people we've spoken to. You know, that whole, you know, throughout the reference to the customer, not the patient, and thinking about it, just all you need to do is that one word change and so much alters as a result.
If you just flip the whole script, the whole paradigm is just changed, the whole relationship, expectations. We've been talking about outcomes in health for donkeys of years. Some services are paid based upon outcomes, but that's patient outcomes. You know, if they're customer outcomes, it's completely different.
Yeah, one word.
Yeah, one word.
I love that she kept back, and she did it at the beginning, she did it at the back end. It was superb. So
yeah. And this thing about this theme about being brave. And I'm not too sure if it's a gender issue at the moment, but certainly all the female digital leaders that we have spoken to have all mentioned this thing about being brave and giving permission for the workforce to be braver, to think big, act now. It's okay because they're able to absorb the corporate pressures at boardroom level. I've not seen it yet from our male counterparts. They've talked around this subject, but the actual word being brave is something that's come out.
Let's see what they come up with. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
The other one I liked, the other sort of line of argument is that I think she recognized that the model isn't fit for purpose any longer. What we've been doing we're not going to solve it by carrying on doing what we've always done. And her using the Henry Ford analogy that, you know, we don't need a faster horse or a better horse. Actually, we need the car. We need to go that degree of change. And making that explicit statement, I thought was really powerful.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we've run out of time because she was providing examples outside of the constructs of health. She spoke about the Fire Brigade, how they disrupted their own service. And if we had more time, Catherine mentioned that would be a good angle to explore. Like, the NHS needs to learn from other industries that are disrupting, that have done the disruption or are continuously bonded to that journey of disruption. My hope is the NHS takes forward the COVID pandemic to really embed a culture of transformation, not just for this period, just continuous cycle. They all talk about lifelong learning, but it's lifelong evolution as well.
But it's easy to regress as COVID sort of, it doesn't disappear, it's still here. But do you know what I mean? The immediate acute pressure is not the same. But that is a really tough gig in a big organization, or an organization as big as that, to you know, to shift to transformation or pick up some of the things Adele was so clearly articulating. So no, I think everybody should watch that. I think everybody should jump on the Adele conversation, because it was just brilliant. Lots to grab hold of, lots of people to think about. So I recommend it. And
I'll underscore it. I will use a what's it called, a luminous marker to make it really pop and stand out. That was definitely a stellar discussion, articulating in a way that everybody can understand. It's a journey, essentially, she's talking about to simplify, be brave, you know, and learn from other industries how they've gone about doing it. And that takes creativity. You know, which is thinking outside the box and taking the community with you, wrap your care around the individual. I think, certainly there, in terms of best practice, that is where my eyes will be fixed on the work that she's doing as well. So it's excellent.
Keep going, Adele, I think is our message.
Indeed,
Go
so.
for it, girl.
Indeed, so. Indeed, so. No, Richard, as always, it's always great catching up with you. I think we should even consider at some point, just me and you go, just bring everything together. You know, what does this all mean? I know we're doing these things after every discussion, which is fantastic. But what does this all mean at the end of the day? I really would be keen to just have that conversation with you.
Pull the threads together and see what sort of rug we turn up with.
Oh, where did you get that? Did you make that up on the fly? Did you?
Rubbish, isn't it?
No, I like it. No, well done. Do you know what? As you see, because I came on late, I was thinking, what can I say? I didn't have any of these.
Pressure's on you now.
Yeah, no, Richard, fantastic. No.
And you.
Yeah, we'll catch up soon. Take care.
This ain't Douglas. All the best. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.